Have you ever wondered why the duration of the Lenten season changes each year? This intriguing question invites us to take a closer look at the Lenten season, a significant period in the Christian calendar that's shrouded in rich history and fascinating customs. The Lenten season, marked by 40 days of fasting and penitence leading up to Easter, is a time of reflection and preparation for Christians around the globe. It's a period that's deeply rooted in early Christian traditions, tracing back to the first centuries after Christ. But unlike Christmas, which is fixed on the 25th of December each year, the Lenten season seems to dance around the calendar. This is because the date of Easter, and consequently Lent, is determined by the lunar calendar. The lunar calendar, you ask? That's right. While our everyday lives are governed by the solar calendar, with its neatly divided 12 months and 365 days, the date of Easter is calculated using the cycles of the moon. It's traditionally observed on the first Sunday after the first full moon following the vernal equinox. That's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? But it's this lunar link that causes the date of Easter, and therefore Lent, to shift each year. This connection to the lunar calendar is part of the Lenten season's intrigue, a curious blend of celestial science and religious observance. The roots of this practice are buried deep in early Christian traditions, a nod to the Jewish calendar, which is also lunar and was in use during Christ's time. So the next time you notice that the Lenten season begins earlier or later than the previous year, you'll know why. It's not a clerical error or a random decision, but a testament to the intricate tapestry of Christian history, celestial movements, and faith traditions. The Lenten season's shifting date is but a glimpse into its rich and complex history. Did you know that the moon plays a crucial role in determining the Lenten season? In the Christian tradition, the Lenten season is a 40-day period of reflection and preparation leading up to Easter. But have you ever stopped to wonder how these dates are determined? The key lies in the lunar calendar. Unlike the solar calendar, which is based on the Earth's orbit around the sun, the lunar calendar follows the phases of the moon. This calendar is used in many cultures and religions worldwide, but how does it relate to Lent? Well, the timing of Easter, which marks the end of the Lenten season, is intricately tied to the lunar calendar. According to the Christian tradition, Easter is celebrated on the first Sunday following the first full moon after the spring equinox. This full moon is often referred to as the Paschal full moon. So, with Easter's date dependent on the moon, it naturally follows that the start of Lent is too. You see, Lent begins 40 days before Easter, not including Sundays. So if you trace back from the Paschal full moon to the start of Lent, you'll find that the moon's phases have a significant role in setting the rhythm of this holy season. Interestingly, this lunar link isn't unique to Christianity. Many religious observances around the world are determined by the lunar calendar. From Ramadan in Islam to Passover in Judaism, the moon's cycle is a common thread weaving through many faiths' calendars. However, despite these similarities, the way each faith calculates and observes these holy periods can vary greatly. This variance adds to the rich tapestry of religious customs and practices worldwide, each with their own unique traditions and rituals. In essence, the moon's consistent cycle provides a natural and universal way to mark time. For Christians, it's used as a celestial guide to determine the Lenten season, a time of reflection, penance, and preparation for Easter. Just as the moon influences the tides, it also guides the Christian calendar in marking the commencement of this holy season. How does the Christian calendar's Lenten season compare with other religious calendars? Let's dive in and explore this intriguing topic. The Christian calendar, also known as the liturgical calendar, is a cycle of seasons and feasts that commemorate the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. The Lenten season, a 40-day period of fasting and penitence before Easter, is a distinctive feature of this calendar. But how does this compare with other religious calendars? Take the Islamic calendar, for instance. It's purely lunar, with each month beginning at the sighting of a new moon. This calendar doesn't incorporate the concept of Lent, but it does have Ramadan, a month-long period of fasting from dawn to sunset. While both Lent and Ramadan involve fasting and reflection, they occur at different times. Lent is tied to the spring equinox, while Ramadan moves through the solar year due to the Islamic calendar's lunar nature. Then we have the Hebrew calendar used in Judaism. It's a lunisolar calendar balancing lunar months with a solar year. The closest equivalent to Lent here might be the 10 days of repentance, a reflective period culminating in Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. But unlike the fixed 40 days of Lent, these days are not marked by fasting. The Hindu calendar, on the other hand, is a complex amalgamation of lunar and solar elements with multiple festivals and periods of observance throughout the year. The closest parallel to Lent could be the Chaturmas, a 4-month period of spiritual introspection. However, it's important to note that the practices during this period vary significantly across different regions and communities. So while each religious calendar has its own unique way of marking significant periods or events, the Christian calendar's Lenten season holds a particular place with its 40-day journey of fasting and reflection. Despite the differences, each calendar reflects the rich tapestry of beliefs that make up our world. What makes the Lenten season stand out in the Christian calendar? The Lenten season, unlike any other period in the Christian calendar, is marked by an introspective journey of reflection and repentance, spanning 40 days. This period is not just about counting days, but about making these days count. It is a time for spiritual spring cleaning, if you will, where individuals delve deep into their hearts, acknowledging their shortcomings, and seeking forgiveness. Now let's talk about the tradition of fasting, a practice that's been around since the early days of Christianity. Fasting during Lent is a tangible way to participate in the journey Jesus undertook in the wilderness, where he fasted for 40 days and nights. But it's more than just abstaining from certain foods or practices. It's about simplifying life, focusing less on worldly desires and more on spiritual growth. It's about experiencing a tiny fraction of what Christ experienced and connecting with him on a deeper level. What's more, the Lenten season isn't just about sacrifice. It's a journey that culminates in the greatest celebration of the Christian faith, Easter. This is the day when Christians around the world rejoice in the resurrection of Jesus Christ, the divine act that signifies victory over sin and death. The Lenten journey, therefore, is one from ashes to glory, from death to life. It's a journey that mirrors the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. The Lenten season also stands out because of its universal observance. Regardless of denominational differences, Christians around the world unite in observing Lent. It's a time when the global Christian community comes together in a shared experience of faith and devotion. So you see, the Lenten season is not just another period in the Christian calendar. It's a unique journey of reflection, repentance, and anticipation. It's a time of spiritual renewal that prepares the believer to celebrate the ultimate victory of life over death, symbolized by Easter. The Lenten season is a unique period of reflection, repentance, and anticipation of resurrection. Curious about how you can determine the start of the Lenten season? Well, you're in luck, because that's what we're diving into now. The start of Lent is determined in connection with the lunar calendar and the occurrence of the full moon. It's not as complicated as it may seem, so let's break it down. The Lenten season is traditionally a 40-day period leading up to Easter Sunday. But why 40 days, you may ask? The number holds significant biblical relevance, often symbolizing a period of testing, trial, or probation. So, the Lenten season is seen as a time of reflection and preparation before the celebrations of Easter. Now, how do we work out when these 40 days begin? To determine the start of Lent, we count backward from Easter Sunday. However, Easter doesn't have a fixed date, and instead is determined by the lunar calendar. More specifically, it falls on the first Sunday, after the first full moon following the vernal equinox. This equinox usually occurs around March 20th or 21st, marking the beginning of spring. So to find out when Lent begins, we first need to know the date of Easter. Once we have that, we count back 40 days, not including Sundays. Why exclude Sundays? In Christianity, Sundays are seen as mini Easters, a day of celebration, and thus aren't included in the 40-day period of fasting. So there you have it. Determining the start of the Lenten season involves a bit of moon watching and some backward counting. It's a fascinating blend of celestial science and religious tradition, isn't it? With these tips, you can anticipate the Lenten season's start and fully immerse in its spiritual significance. So, whether you're observing Lent for religious reasons or simply interested in the traditions, you now have a better understanding of its timing. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep growing.